You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.
Welcome back to our interview series here on the Options Insider Radio Network from the scenic and sunny Options Industry Conference down here in Palm Beach, Florida. And next up in the Southern studio, we have a duo. First off, we have Lex Luthringshausen, the SVP of Strategic Partnerships over there at Tradier. Lex, welcome back to the network, sir.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. I always love it. Great spot.
And then joining us for the first time, I do believe, Peter Laptewicz. He is the president of the Brokerage over there at Tradier. Peter, welcome to the network, sir.
Great to be here. Pleasure.
Lex, I know you've been on before, but it's been quite a while. Obviously, a lot of new listeners since then. And also, Peter, this is your first time. Maybe, Peter, we'll start with you. Give us a quick overview of your background as well as what it is you do over there at Tradier.
Yeah, so I'm president of Tradier Brokerage. Previously worked at Trade King, E-Trade, Bank of America. Started out in the space in Edward Jones. I've always had a deep, deep passion for brokerage services, self-directed trading, and full service business. So, it's been a huge passion for mine. Options being sort of center to that. When we started Tradier, that was sort of our mission, is to bring retail trading to the option space in a major way and give them a lot of capabilities that obviously they're utilizing today and continue to utilize. So
I remember the old Trade King days. Don and Brian Overby, of course, was there for many years. Quite the crew. They picked up Zecco, so that was kind of early on the zero commissions front. So a lot of fun things going on in the Trade King day. And then Ally bought them, and now they don't care about options anymore. So it's been interesting to watch all of that unfold. And of course, Lex, same thing for you. It's been a while, so catch our listeners up, I should say, on a little bit of your background in the space as well as what you do over there at Tradier.
Sure. So I grew up in the options industry as a floor trader. So I started at the SIBO in 1987. So I'm an old
auspicious
dog.
Time to start in the options market.
Yes, I've seen all the crashes. I've been through them all. I started in the listed space. I was an independent market maker. That grew into a proprietary DPM trading firm. That's based in SIBO, but that went around the world, and we ended up adding a clearing firm to that with the proprietary trading, and we sold that whole business to Merrill Lynch in 2005. So I stayed around off floor kind of trading, did that for a while, and then we created this product called TradeHawk, which is a trading platform, an options trading platform. I hooked into Tradier about 2017 thereabouts, using their great APIs, and things went pretty well, and they ultimately bought us. So that's how I came to work at Tradier, was through that purchase of our software product. So it's our desktop version that's in our suite of platforms at Tradier. And what I do at Tradier currently is I am the chief strategist on our Tradier Hub, which is our educational ecosystem, I like to call it. So we do a lot of live shows. There's videos, tape shows, that sort of thing. We talk about all things options and trading and some of the crazy things that go on in the markets. So that's in our hub. And then I also deal with strategic partnerships at Tradier. So some of the bigger educators we have in the space and those folks, I like to head out on the plane and go talk at their conferences when they'll have me. So kind of wearing a lot of hats.
Speaking of talking at conferences, we're down here at a nice sunny one right now. What brings you to OIC this year? What's on the agenda? Or are you just pressing the flesh and kissing babies?
I love kissing babies and pressing flesh. I do that a lot. A lot of things are happening in the space. We have all kinds of technical things that we're looking at too. So there's some folks that fit that need for us here. So we like to catch up with them. We are exploring, the crypto space a little bit. We're exploring the event-based trading sort of products. So we're in the mode of offering new products to our client base, our community. And I would say that at Tradier, our community is a well-heeled, options-centric sort of community. So bigger wallet size, a little bit older demographically. So they're sophisticated. They trade tons of spreads. So we like to meet with the exchanges on all those sort of things that are going on. So this is always a great place to kind of network, I think, in the option space. And I've been doing this, Mark, since we had our trading firm back in the early 90s. I can't. We were trying to think when OIC started. I want to say in the mid 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember though.
I certainly wasn't at the first one. That's before my time. But yeah, it probably was around that time. Maybe even earlier. It could have been in the late 80s. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I have to go.
But I think I've been to just about every one of them. Honest to God. Yeah, it's insane. So you want to add anything to that, Pete?
Yeah, I would say, this is a big time too to hear about products that are going to get launched, in the next few quarters. So I think from a product perspective, kind of figuring out what's down the pipe and make sure you're prepared for it's always critical. It's also big for us to get feedback. A lot of these folks are our vendors. A lot of these folks will touch our order flow in some way. This is a great opportunity to talk to leadership of these firms and give them feedback as to what we're seeing, what our customers are seeing, and making sure we're delivering, a great service. So.
Well, we haven't chatted with you guys in a while. Obviously, a lot going on in the world of options right now. The numbers hot off the presses from OCC for the month of April. And surprise, surprise, it was a banger, up 24, almost 25% year over year. I mean, go figure, a little global trade war will kick off some options volume. Equity options, 23% increase, ETF options, 28%, index 11. I mean, it goes, the only thing that was down was VIX futures for some reason, down almost 5%. So kind of a weird duck there. Yeah. But other than that, it's been completely wild times. Obviously, you guys over there must be seeing, I should say, really, just a lot of wild flow. Walk us through that so far. Obviously, it's been a wild start to the year and an equally wild, maybe unprecedented month of April. What are you seeing on the Tradier side? What are your clients up to in terms of trading? And in general, what are your thoughts on these wild, volatile, hyper volume markets we're all living through right now?
Yeah. So, interestingly, we have seen, how would you say, we've seen a little bit of a pullback from the retail component. Would you agree? I think part of the reason is that once VIX gets to 30 handle and above,
it's the take your ball and go home market.
It's exactly right. Now, we had a few people, I'd say, a few entity people who had some difficulty. It's a tough market. The retail person, I think, is not generally suited for this kind of volatility. It's a professional game at this level, right? Back in my market maker days, I would love this. The retail person has difficulty. They're typically, what we see is they're doing, complex orders, a lot of iron condors. They're trying to harvest premium and theta, and they play a lot of zero DTE. And these kind of moves are just banging those short strikes, right? So after a while, what happens is they say, okay, I'm not going away, but I'm going to sit on my hands for a little bit. And I did. There's an interesting note. I talked to some of my old market maker friends who are still in the business. They said that they keep data on this. They said that their touch point with retail is very much down over that month of April, which I thought was interesting. So it kind of, confirmed my suspicion with the retail folks where this volume was. They're just kind of, closing the doors a little bit for right now and being careful.
Is that a lot of flow you guys interact with? That you have a lot of that 0-day flow on Tradier right now?
Yeah, that's one of the more popular places. I think for another reason for the retail folks is, it's, I think, I was talking to Henry, it's probably 35 days out, zero DT. So there's a day every day for 35 days out, right? So the retail folks love it. They get into this sort of trade where they can collect this theta, take it on, put it on, take it off, and rinse and repeat for 35 straight days and just keep doing it. And it's by and large been successful, except when you start seeing, implied volatility go through the roof. And if it was one directional, it wouldn't be so bad. But, Pete made a point today, when it's whipsaw, when it's down, 100 handles in the spoos and up 100, that's when they just get clobbered.
Hit all your strikes.
Yeah, you get them all. So you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would say, zero DT is a big part of the business. I would say in general, our customers are typically trading complex strategies. So calendar spreads, spreads that are out, and a lot of them are credit spreads. So I think, they're used to sort of continuously rolling these things and bringing premium in, and they're not used to getting hit hard, and obviously some cases capped out on some of these spreads. And we're definitely seeing folks, taking a breather, which I think they want the news to come out. They want things to be clear and decisive. And our feeling is that once things calm down a bit, we'll be back.
Yeah, it's hard to be picking up the nickels and pennies or even dollars daily, and then all of a sudden, 150 handle swings and it's
a lot of back and forth messaging on things, and there's just a total lack of clarity as to some of the decisions that are going to be happening from an economic perspective. And I think people are just going to wait and see how things play out and jump back in once they.
Well, you guys mentioned the word of the day or the word of the conference, which is 0 day. Every year for the last few years, and I've been coming down here, everyone wants to talk about 0 day. It's been where all the growth is. And for a lot of our audience, a lot of our listeners, they're always like, okay, we like the 0 day SPX and SPY and all that fun stuff. But where's my 0 day Tesla? Where's my 0 day NVIDIA? NASDAQ finally bringing something to the party with that recently. I had those guys in here this morning where they're looking at I guess you can call it, they don't want to call it a pilot. I'll call it a pilot. It's 7, I think it's a MAG 7 plus 1. So I guess it's a MAG 8 now. I think they're adding Broadcom into the mix, and that's their proposed starting point, keeping everything else the same. So you still have your contra exercise. And probably if it gets approved, maybe starting towards the end of this year, beginning of next year. I'm curious, you guys, what are your thoughts on A, is that a good approach? B, would you have preferred something else? And C, do you think this is something your audience is going to respond to?
I think from a retail trading standpoint, there's appetite for this. I think that our customers want short-dated options. I think it's something that'll be utilized. So putting on a product hat, it'll be good to give more options to the customers that have obviously adopted short-term, broad-based ETF options. Putting on the president of the brokerage hat, I would say from just a risk mitigation standpoint, I think firms will just have to think through how to handle, earnings risk effectively.
If they have mentioned they're going to table it during earnings week for those, which is big. Obviously a big catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah, big. And just, the overall, exercise assignment process, making sure, we've got more options that are expiring every day, and make sure that our team is prepared to handle that, and our customers are sort of aware of how this shifts could affect them. But I think from a retail standpoint, the appetite is no question there to have more options as it relates to expirations for many of the actively traded symbols.
Lex, I'm sure the people at the Tradier hub there have been probably beating down your door for years now, saying we want 0 day NVIDIA, 0 day Tesla. Is this the way you thought it was going to go down, or you take what you can get at this point?
Well, I think you take a little bit what you can get. I think that one of the problems that Pete alluded to this is this assignment exercise issue. We have regular style options, American style options that can be assigned prior. I know it's only a day, and then you don't have cash settlement. So that's one of the big draws for a retail person at SPX. You have both of those things, European and cash settled, that we as a risk management team never have to even worry about. Turns into cash, right? There's no deliverable. If they start doing this with the MAG 7 plus 1, Pete said we're going to have a lot of work watching that assignment every day now, not just once in a while. So that's an issue. That's something that we're going to have to figure out how we solve for that.
There was a proposal. There were a couple of proposals on the table. There was this kind of limited pilot. There was talk of going the cashless route, so the cash secured route effectively, and just saying, hey, get rid of the deliverable, create this new category of cash secured Tesla and NVIDIA, whatever else. Or there was doing away with the contra exercise altogether, which I don't think the market makers were very down for either. So it seems like they went this way, which sounds like you would have preferred the cash settled, a new class of options.
Yeah, I would love that. Someone said to me today, I was speaking to someone here, and they said, you could actually make it elective too. If you want to trade the cash settled version of Tesla, have at it. You can check the box.
So because that's the problem. People are worried about having two chains and stuff, right? So when you initiate the trade, you choose, and that's your choice.
That's your choice. I thought about it for a half a second. I'm like, it's not bad.
It's not the worst way I've heard to go about it. Yeah, right. Rather than having two chains and having to educate everybody.
Right. It's just this one's cash settled. This one's deliverable. So interesting thought on it. I really I think people really get hurt in the retail space with exercise assignment. I think that's where we see the just the biggest, even on a dividend, right? It's early exercise for dividends and interest rates when they run up like this on the put side. So it's a problem, and it's one less thing we as a retail brokerage have to worry about. And our customers, don't forget, they're not doing this for necessarily a living. This is their side gig. It's a serious side gig. And they're lawyers, doctors, accountants. They have a job, so they can't watch this 6 hours a day. So having that element of race, like an SPX style, is a big deal, right? It just makes their lives easier. I think it's good for more trading. And I think it's good for risk management too.
We have a guy you guys probably know, Alec Jacobson. He's a good friend of the network. He's a longtime educator, passed away over the weekend. So kind of in his honor, we've been kind of talking about the state of options education. We just brought out a whole bunch of examples of why people need education right now, more than ever, on top of the 100+ handle intraday swings and everything else. So plus 25% growth, a lot of new players coming to the game just last month. So you could argue the need for quality options education more pressing than ever. What are your thoughts in general on the state of options education in the industry and maybe what we could do to improve it?
So I do a lot of that on a regular basis, right? And incidentally, can I make a plug?
Sure.
I just did a piece with the CBO with Henry and OIC, Matt, on zero DTE. Okay. So we're getting into the space of creating curated sort of educational pieces that people can view, through on our pages, right? That sort of stuff. Education's still vital. I think it's super important. We were talking today because of the way the internet behaves, and you can just type in anything and get something back. The people who trade options now are plentiful. As we know, we can see the numbers, and I think it's only going to grow. People can learn from just typing in a free search, right? Now, the one thing I'd caution though is that you got to really know the quality ones from the hacks, and there's ways to kind of look at that a little bit. But I think the education piece, people love consuming video, so I think video is super important, and I think people love to see something visually with a risk profile or a diagram of what the risk and rewards are. There's all our people do risk defined things. So there's no naked options really. Some maybe very occasional. So the blowout risk is very small. I think where we could do better is idea generation. What I mean by that is, I don't know if Mark, if you sit in front of a machine and try to trade in the off-floor days, I was doing it on the floor. So my off-floor skills are not good because I look at the screen and I'm reactive as a pro.
Yeah,
right?
You want to hear the roar of the crowd across the floor.
Yeah, and plus they're going to sell my bid, which I'm buying my bid.
Or the broker's running towards your pit. Something's coming, yeah.
Exactly. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about what sort of tools we can add to our platforms that gives the retail trader an idea generator. Right? Meaning, why do I want to make this trade? Could it be unusual options activity? Sure. Could it be unusual implied volatility shocks? Absolutely. So there's all kinds of tools that we can give them that gives them a reason for putting on the trade. And I think the retail needs that the most. It can't be, I just think it's going up. I mean, that's interesting, but okay, so what? We want something a little more, kind of scientific behind the curtain there. Does that make sense?
No, idea generation definitely a big area where people do struggle. We've had brokers in here on this conference who don't even have educators on staff. So I'm glad you guys at least are putting out the content out there and engaging with people. A lot of people think just a 20-second TikTok is sufficient to get you up to speed to be slinging a lot of size out there in the world of options. Well, you mentioned some of your videos and content. We like to leave our audience wanting a little more, so give them a hint, give them a little plug of what's coming down the pike over there at Tradier right now. They can look forward to.
Yeah, so from the hub side, it's it's hub.tradier.com, and that's our network, our internal network. The YouTube is Smart Options Trader, and the newest plug that I can give is that we are getting ready to release our Smart Options Trader newsletter. So that's coming out soon too. It's free right now. It's an email and a name. But the cool thing about it is we will have certain ideas on trades. It's not investment advice, obviously. It's just an idea based on some expertise in the market that people can either use or not if they so choose. So you have some things too.
I would say, today we announced at Tradier the introduction to using global trading hours for SPX and VIX from 8 a.m. to 9:25. So I think that's a big enhancement for retail traders to get more accessibility pre-market. We've already been involved in Curb, which is that 4 to 5 window, but that's been a huge change. We've recently launched futures that continues to grow. We'll continue to build on that, add more capabilities from our platform there as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things moving. As Lex mentioned, we're evaluating bringing in new things like, event-based contracts, spot crypto. So lots of things happen in the space. We're excited about it, and this will be a big year for us.
You mentioned one of the other buzzwords there, too, about 24-hour trading. It seems like it's inevitable on the equity side. A lot of people are still debating if or what form it should take on the options side. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it is inevitable as well in options? And if so, what form should it take?
Well, I think, having a means by which to have these cash settled takes a lot of the risk concerns as far as managing these trades. So I think if we can get to a spot where these securities can be effectively traded from a risk mitigation standpoint, I think it's great. I mean, I think customers want the opportunity to hedge themselves outside of normal market hours. As we know and have seen, news comes at all times. So, if something happens in Asia or something happens in Europe and our markets aren't open, a lot of retail traders are just sitting there holding their hands until the market opens and they can place a trade. So I think giving them the capability to take action at any time, I think, is crucial to protect them. Gives them the ability to make actions and moves, when institutional folks have already made those decisions, at that time, because they've got that capability. So, Cboe's done a great job, expanding these time frames. We'll work with them to give as much availability as possible, and I think customers will take advantage of it, and we've already seen that already.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to join us here in the Southern Studio, and we'll look forward to seeing how all these initiatives unfold over there at Tradier in the marketplace in the coming months.
Great. Thanks, Mark, for having us. Appreciate it.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.